Good morning. My name is Minda Marshall. Today I'm going to discuss with you the right to decency and a better life. And I think as teachers, as literature and literacy experts, I'm sure that all of you agree that literacy is one of the basic foundational skills that we need if we really want to empower people. And much more than that, nowadays there's a lot of talk about visual intelligence and lifelong learning. All of these things are based on the understanding that we have a good reading skill and good reading strategies. And faced furthermore with the whole COVID-19 situation, all of us are looking for solutions online to assist our students to develop these very important skills and to acquire more strategies and therefore know how to interact in an intelligent way with the work material, the study materials that they have to work with daily. So today, before we go any further, we'll just first, and I'm sure you're all aware of the current situation, but let's look at the landscape that we have to function in. So on the slide you will see that we have around 800 million children that would have dropped out of school by 2030 without the necessary skills that they need for a decent job. These skills are crucial for them to know how to actually have a good job. In the South African landscape, it's even another situation, scenario, and we all know that we struggle. 74% of our grade 4s cannot understand what they are actually reading. And if we look at this, we know that the basis of learning is to be able to interact in an intelligent way with the study materials. So we are actually looking at a tsunami of illiteracy that we will have to face with the current COVID situation. We know that this could even have a bigger impact than it previously had. And these statistics were from before the COVID-19 lockdown impact. So for me personally, it's much more than just looking at novice readers. We have to go further than that. We have to look at developmental reading. Not only our grade 4s and younger are struggling with these skills, but if they have not acquired it by grade 4, we need to understand that it's something that they will have to struggle with the rest of their life. Through intermediate phase, through high school levels, in secondary schools, and even further in tertiary and in job situations. Looking at the impact of Industry 4.0, this plays a major role because all of us will have to unlearn and relearn things in the future. So the basis of learning is reading, and that's why we have to look at developing accurate reading skills. If you look at the next slide, you will find that a lot of effort goes into oral reading. So reading aloud and reading to entertain people or to read stories, a lot of our effort goes into that. But silent reading is the type of reading that we use to acquire new knowledge and information. The intensive and the extensive portions of reading. And this is the area that we need to put a lot of time and effort into developing. So here we find that we have a student coming into our class or a person in a work situation that comes with a lot of background details. There are certain things that was important to them, to their culture, within their community, and all of these things plays a role in the realization of their reading skills. Aside from that, there's a specific portion of information that the reader has to interact with. And if they do not have adequate strategies or well-trained skills and they don't know how to access the information, maybe it's too difficult for them and they don't know how to extract what is needed from the text. So all of these things will play a role in how we work with visual information. And for us, the important thing is to look at the measurable aspects of reading. So we are now going to look at 3 areas that is very important. Those of you who are junior primary teachers, you will know that the first area that we always look at is the perceptual area of reading. And a lot of effort is also spent in developing these skills. The other portion that everybody is well aware of is the cognitive skills, or the cognitive area of reading development. And sometimes I think we don't spend enough time in teaching our students adequate strategies when they have to work with different types of material. The last one that we spend the least time on is the optic motor skills. So we're going to look quickly at the specific measurable aspects of the optic motor skills in the next slide. So when we look at the optic motor skills, you will find that it is terminology like the fixation. How long does the eye stop to actually see what it is seeing? Regressions or rereading of words and letters. How much do we see when the eye stops to read? The eye span or span of recognition. And the duration of fixation. How fast do we actually see what we see? So if we look at the optic motor skills, we find that Stephen Schwartz gives us a very good model to understand what must happen. There are 3 routes of reading development. And the first one is the phonological route. And again, this is the one that most of us know about. But the whole focus of what we want to do is we want to move our students from the phonological route to the controlled reading route. The controlled reading route is a more autonomous type of reading, but that's not where we want to stop. We want to move them through to the automatic visual reading route. And this is the area where we can actually see reading speed is picking up, our students understand what they are reading, they can draw inferences, there's context to the material that they are working with. Notice how we want to move them from the longer route through to the controlled, and then at the end to the automatic visual route, which is a very fast way of interacting with information. And the good news for those of us who are actually above 30, 40 years old, and I think for all teachers this is something that we can really have a deep sigh of thankfulness. Neuroscience have proven that right through our lives we can actually train and retrain our brains. So learning is connecting neurons, it is developing neural pathways, and finally it is enhancing neural networks in our brain. And neuroplasticity is the term that is used to show us that our brain is actually moldable. So right through your life your brain has the ability to reorganize itself. And in this reorganization, what actually happens is the pathways or the neural networks that we are using a lot become stronger, and the neural networks that we are not using becomes weaker. And as you then practice and train these visual skills, you will find that certain things just suddenly start to happen easier in the learning experience of your students. So the good news is we can train these, and it relates very well with the understanding of the optic motor skills. So what we are aiming to do is we want our students to actually see more. We want them then at the end to see faster so that they can read faster. We want them to think better, and we want them to understand more of what they are actually busy working with in their curriculum. And I think this is one of the biggest challenges that we faced with our students working from home during the COVID-19 lockdown. If you can think of the interaction that the student needed to have with their curriculum at home. It's much more focused on the foundational skills of reading and understanding, knowing which information is important, how do I extract the facts from this material, and how do I use this facts to create a schema of understanding so that I can use my knowledge to create new knowledge from that. And at the end of the day, that is what literacy is all about. We want to create lifelong learners who know how to work with information so that they can understand the work that they have to work with right through their lives better, and therefore being able to unlearn and relearn new skills and new things much easier. So what we need is, we need good readers. We need to focus on our good, our poor, and the readers or the students in the class with reading problems. And at the end of the day, we want all of these students to be able to know how to set goals when they are reading. They must know which strategies they need to interact with the information. They need to have developed the right skills. They have to be able to monitor themselves in the whole reading process so that they can have a better metacognition, better understanding of how they learn, and find new ways and strategies to interact more efficiently. At the end of the day, we need readers or students with active minds. So I hope that this will help you to find new ways. My number and contact details should be on the video. Let us know how we can work together to take your students to the next level.